Oh, I got bad news. That's the end of the coffee pot.
Uh-oh. Well, it is 3 p.m., Ryan.
And?
All right, never mind. Sorry.
Welcome to My Hill to Die On, episode 79.
Everyone has things they are passionate about.
Things we want our friends to try and experience.
So we've convinced each other to try different things.
And we talk about these experiences to see if we can get just one more person
to join us on our hill to die on. We've both had our birthdays since last recording. We now feel older, right, Ryan?
Yeah.
It wasn't the winter or COVID that did it to you. It was the day that passed.
Let's face it. Every day I feel old. Not older, just old. Some people are like, you're only as old as you think you are. Well, guess what? I've been a curmudgeon since I've been 4. Okay, maybe not.
No, actually, one of the things, as we begin this new year of 2024, I did set a running goal.
A running goal, not a theme.
No, not a theme. No, a goal about running.
Not a running theme?
No, not even a running theme. A goal pertaining to running.
Okay.
I want to do 1,900 kilometers this year. Now, again, that's a scary goal, I think. I did 1,788 kilometers this year, and I guesstimated that I did some shorter ones in the first half of last year, so without issue, I should be able to get to that. We'll have to see. Stretch goal would probably be 2,000 kilometers. But I look at that goal and say, I want to know when I've done well for the year. So I want to complain to the company and say, look, tell me what's my fastest 5K of this year. I want to request to the app maker that he adds those kinds of statistics in. Because sometimes I come back from running, because I've been running now for maybe 2 months, and I look at it and say, oh, that was a fast run. And then I go and look and I'm like, I bet you that's a new record. And I look and yeah, it's a new record in the last 3 years, but my times in 2020 were so much faster that like I can't compare. I'm like, it's not a new record because 2020 I was really fast. Now I'm catching up. Yes, it's my fastest time in the past 2 years, but it's not my fastest overall since I've had the app. I was like, So I want local goals. Sorry, local achievements. I'll have to ask for that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Speaking of goals and things like that, a couple years back, I had a theme that I basically started the year and I was like, this is going to be the year where I'm going to do this thing. And I'm going to aim towards this theme. And I realized that in all of the things that had happened, I never actually really lived up to trying to live out that theme. So I decided that this year I am going to really be intentionally living out that theme. And I said it like that because the theme that I believe I said a couple of years back was intentionality.
Yeah, I didn't write in the show notes. I need to keep writing these into the show notes. Okay. I think I remember that though.
I think I basically said that I was going to be very intentional about how I lived my life, how I spent my time, how I did all these things, because that is what keeps me from essentially drifting and kind of being very lackadaisical about how I spend my time and how I am moving forward with my goals and my projects and things. I can very easily fall into a habit of essentially just going with the flow, which isn't always a bad thing, but it can be if you do nothing but go with the flow.
Right.
This is, again, a couple of years back, I said I was going to be very intentional. Oh, I think I remember what happened. I think that was the year of COVID.
Oh, maybe.
I think that was the year of COVID, and my idea of living a very intentional life in the year of COVID was not happening. Anyway, I decided that this year I am going to be very specific about being intentional about everything that I am doing, that I am going to move forward on a bunch of like little projects, things like I have so much junk in my house that I just have put in a corner and left there because I haven't been bothered to actually like take care of it or get rid of it or throw it away or actually utilize it. And so like I have stuff like that. I just need to be intentional about everything that I'm doing, which also means being intentional about how I am working on some of my side projects and also towards like really think about am I going to go back to school, whether online or otherwise? Am I going to do that? Just be very intentional about, like, don't just allow time to pass. Be intentional about what are the end goals for where I want to go from here.
Right, because delaying a decision is a decision in itself. So
exactly.
But you want to make the intentional decision to delay as opposed to the...
Yes, I want to be intentional about what decisions I'm making.
Right.
If that is a decision to delay, then I want to be intentional about that. I don't want to just delay because, I've run out of time.
Because you've kicked the can down the road still. Mm-hmm.
So is that something that I still want to do? Or do I want to focus all my energy on writing? And if that's the case, then I need to be intentional about, hey, I need to spend my time in writing then. One of those things that I am actually going to do then is I need to be very specific about consistently going to bed at a reasonable hour.
Oh, yeah. Tough one, but still good.
That way that I can also potentially wake up early, do work and or exercise before I come into work.
Oh, and then show up to school on time?
Hey.
Sorry.
Hey, I am usually within the realm of time-ish.
Being intentional about bedtime is a very intentional decision. That is for sure.
Mm-hmm. Now, the downside to that is that there is one social engagement that I do every week that I have to back out of now.
You can't give an excuse for one day?
I think part of the problem is I know me well enough. If I take a break, if I take a day off of whatever it is that I'm trying to do, it will not stick.
Well, and it'll probably mean that you're going to be overtired on that day too, because you will have woken up earlier that morning and then you'll be staying up late on that day.
Yeah.
One of the things that I was able to do, or at least I've been trying to be able to do, we'll have to see if it works out still this year. I started a little bit last year, but I moved one of my evening things to be right after school instead. My wife has finally thrown in the towel on expecting all of us to be home at a reasonable time for dinner. Because, I mean, I'm done with cross country, but my daughters are still in sports. And she doesn't want to keep making dinner at one time and then making dinner at another time. So she said, well, if you're going to go out and hang with a friend, why don't you just do it right after school when, we can't have dinner anyway. So just hang out for an hour then. I said, that's actually not a bad idea. That's not going to work for, your engagement. That won't work for that.
Yeah, no, I mean, most of the other engagements I have, I can maintain. If I do this, that means the latest night I will have out will be my Friday night D&D game.
Which could potentially be excused.
Because guess what? The next day is Saturday. So whenever I wake up, I can just go right into my morning routine, whatever that has become.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I need to be more intentional about how I am spending my time, including these morning routines, because this actually is, for me, about momentum. The moment that I go home at the end of the day and do anything that's not like productive time, I lose all my momentum and I can pretty much discount that I'm going to do anything. So I either need to do it right after school or before school, because the moment that I lose that momentum of I'm being productive, that's it. Game over. So I need to be very intentional about how I am using and utilizing my time.
Sounds good. Did you come up with a catchy phrase then? Are you going to do momentum?
Honestly, I want to say that I'm just going to do intentionality.
Just a refocus?
Yeah, just a refocus on intentionality.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good.
Because it is that idea of I need to make sure that I am living this intentional life where I'm not just kind of drifting through things. That means being very strict with myself. I have given myself until school starts to basically...
to start.
So guess what it means for tomorrow?
You have to be on time to school.
It means that I need to be starting this tomorrow.
Yeah, early in the morning, waking early in the morning, getting going. Mm-hmm.
Every morning I wake up before I put on my makeup.
Oh, good. At least you do it in that order. Yeah, I don't have a yearly theme.
Part of it was the fact that I was listening to Cortex's yearly theme episode, and I was feeling a lot of the things that Gray was talking about. And so he also spoke about like how this past year for him, he realized that if he didn't do something right in the morning or right after work, it wasn't going to happen. And I really resonated with that.
Oh, sorry.
I resemble that as well.
I resemble that remark.
I very much resemble that remark. And so it is I need to be good about maintaining that motivation, maintaining that momentum.
John Siracusa was talking to John Gruber on John Gruber's podcast about yearly themes. I think John Siracusa stated the problem I have with yearly themes. It is that I can't generally tie a theme to one flashy word or phrase. Now, again, John Siracusa is giving up after that, or, I don't know if he is or not, but anyway, he has stopped from that point. But I think what I could do, if I'm going to salvage it for me, is just come up with 2 or 3. I don't have to have one.
Well, I mean, have you heard some of Gray's themes? He has semicolons and part 2s and...
Yeah, exactly. So I think I'll just come up with a few smaller ones, perhaps. I don't know. I'm still trying to think about it. I mean, I was trying to think. My theme in the past was putting things down, I guess, kind of. A theme of putting things down. Focus on the family instead. Put things down, move away from the computer. That being said, of course, there's still things I have to do on my computer or get things done. I can have free time, but I need to, for example, during this break, I worked a lot on pictures for school. Got a lot done. Did not finish everything, unfortunately, but I got a lot done. It was great. Most of the days, I was able to reach, look, with the time, I've come to a stopping point. Now is the time to put things down. I've come to a stopping point. Of course, I could probably work for another 20, 30 minutes. But you know what? I've reached a stopping point. Just stop. Just stop. I don't have to work for another 30 minutes. There's nobody's telling me. There's no slave master standing over me saying I have to work for another 30 minutes. I could just stop here. It's a stopping point. Stop. So most of the time I did that over break. It wasn't perfect. Still need to work on it. But anyway, that kind of thing I want to keep my eyes open for.
Well, I mean, part of the idea of this intentionality theme for me is the fact that it's not just about being intentional with my time and how I spend my time, but it also means being intentional about how I am doing all this. Part of how I envision this is built in this idea of reflection is a big deal to this.
Yeah.
It means that I'm going to be forcing myself to do a lot more self-reflection because of this theme. And so that's kind of why I kept it with that single snappy word of intentionality, is because it means, being focused on how you're using your time, but also being very intentional about how you're using your time, and also being intentional about how you're living your life, which means self-reflection, which means all these other things. Mm-hmm. So it's that word that resonates. Like I said, I wanted to do this several years ago, but I do think that it was around the COVID time, which threw that plan out the window.
Well, and I think it's something that can continue to be built upon.
Yeah.
It's not something that has to die in 1 year.
No. And this is definitely one that is very good for a foundational idea, because it is based around this idea of a lot of self-reflection. How was your Christmas break, though?
We had a good time. We went to Izu again. We like going to Izu Peninsula. But really, this break was just relaxing. We didn't do any big trips. We just spent a week there and pretty much did nothing at the hotel.
Go to the movies?
No, we didn't go to the movies. We had considered going to Wish, but didn't. We'll just wait for it to come to Disney+. We don't need to pay for it, I don't think,
I saw Wonka.
You saw Wonka? Was it good?
Yeah, actually, it was really good. I was very pleased with it.
You saw, what's his name? The Mouse King? What's the name in Dune?
Oh, Muad'Dib?
Yeah, Muad'Dib. You saw Muad'Dib playing Willy Wonka? Sorry.
Yes. Yes, I did. It's Timothée Chalamet.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, he did very well. It was one of those moments where, in thinking about the fact that he is Muad'Dib in Dune, you go, he's got range.
Yeah, I guess so.
He's got some range, because he played a good Wonka. The thing that I was afraid of was after Johnny Depp's Wonka. I mean, Johnny Depp's Wonka was creepy.
Yeah.
It was a lot of creepy vibes. Whereas this felt very positive and uplifting. It's a prologue story, basically, how he formed his factory, how he built his chocolate empire.
Well, it's just good because I really like Gene Kelly's version better than Johnny Depp. So,
oh, yeah.
If it's more along those lines, I think that is probably.
And I feel like it was. Honestly, for me, some people might think that this is giving it too much praise, but to me, it felt like, you know how Mary Poppins Returns has a lot of the same vibes of the original?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But is still a good movie?
Mm-hmm.
It felt like that kind of thing to me.
Mm.
This is very much it has a lot of the similar feels, but it is a new one and it is good.
Okay.
I thought the songs were excellent, and let's just say they had some interesting casting choices.
Okay.
But they're all great casting choices. But yeah, no, I just thought it was a good movie.
All right, I'll have to watch. I did show my children Super Mario Brothers movie. Fun stuff.
It is.
I kind of like it. The critical rating is pretty harsh on it.
Really?
But I enjoyed it. Yeah, like 50%. The Rotten Tomatoes is 50%.
Yeah, but I mean, that's the critics. But I mean, it seems that
I think the popular ratings are higher.
If I remember right, it was like number 2 for grossing movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think it was only behind Barbie.
Behind Barbie, which we saw also this break. I have to give that another watch. I think I was in it too much for comedy, and now I need to sit and think about what the message was in another watch.
Gotcha.
I mean, the comedy was good, but yeah, I think I need to sit one more time and think about the message. Not to say that it was bad or anything, but just...
No, I get what you mean. Yeah, in certain circles, Barbie can be polarizing.
Yeah.
And you want to ask yourself, are those people who are reacting poorly to the messaging of Barbie being fair?
And I think it was a lot of fun. In my first viewing, I think it was a lot of fun. You know, have you seen it? You've seen it, right?
No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, okay. Ken started turning things around because he found a book on masculinity and toxic masculinity and brought it back to Barbie Land. Barbie was trying to make her world correct again. I don't think Barbie was trying to put the Kens down.
No.
I think Barbie was trying to fix the world to get rid of the virus that entered the land, this toxic masculinity virus.
Yeah.
She wasn't putting Ken down, and she was still saying we can be friends and we can still have a lot of fun together and stuff like that, but just trying to get rid of the toxic masculinity. So I think I'm okay with it. Barbie's trying to make the world better for everyone, not just for the females. And I think we need that in our world. I think that's what the movie was trying to say. I want to watch it one more time, but I think it was fun. Did you watch Princess Switched?
What's Princess Switched?
It's just a funny... It's a Freaky Friday kind of...
Oh, no, thank you.
Oh, no, actually... No, it's not a Freaky Friday one. Oh, actually, though, there is a Freaky Friday one on Netflix that is pretty funny. With Jennifer Garner and Jason Sudeikis. That was a pretty funny Christmas movie. My kids watched that a few times. And I love the fact... So, basically, Jennifer Garner and Jason Sudeikis switch places with their children.
Mm-hmm.
And the girl goes, oh man, I feel like I'm 13 going on 30. And then Jason said, yeah, I'm 17 again. And then I was like, oh my goodness, they're making fun of their own movies. That's great. Yeah. Although Jason Sudeikis wasn't at 17 again, but the fact that Jennifer Garner is making fun of 13 going on 30 is great. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing. Anyway, that was funny.
We watched our normal Christmas movies with It's a Wonderful Life, White Christmas, Die Hard 2.
Die Hard 2. That's stretching it, that one.
Yeah, that one was stretching it. Muppet Christmas Carol.
Yep.
You know, the Harry Potter movies, because that just kind of has a Christmassy vibe.
Yeah, they do a little bit, yep.
And then we've just watched TV and binged random TV shows, which, you know, is great. I spent a lot of time with my parents. I spent time with my brother and his family, but right after Christmas, they had a shindig that apparently somebody brought COVID to.
Oh, really? That's too bad.
So I saw them up till Christmas, and then after Christmas, they were pretty much...
They were down for the count?
They still had it by the time I was leaving.
Too bad. And you didn't feel like re-entering into Japan?
Not really. It was good seeing my family. I needed that.
Good.
And I'm really glad that I got that chance. That's pretty much it.
And you didn't land at Haneda on the 2nd. That was good too.
No.
You know, I realized after I texted you, I was like, maybe I shouldn't have been texting this to Ryan. How high did I increase your anxiety?
Not at all, because guess what? I already had known.
Oh, okay.
Because you texted it 2 days before I left, and I had been watching the news with my parents, and the American news really covered what was going on in Japan a lot more than I would have expected.
Yeah.
Which, meant it covered it some.
This earthquake has been pretty devastating here.
Yeah.
It didn't affect us in this area where we are at all.
No, but further north, yeah.
Further north, I mean, it's been pretty bad, it looks like. And mostly seems like secondary destruction. Not destruction from the earthquake, but destruction from fires. Some from tsunamis, although I thought that was not so bad. Yes, earthquake, but it seemed like fires have been the bigger destructive force from the earthquake, though. Pretty bad. Lots of people that are struggling without homes or food or warmth or electricity. We did feel it here. You were gone then, I guess, but it was very wavy.
It is interesting to me that both times that there's a very large, devastating earthquake is a week before I am about to land.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Because 3/11 was a week before I was coming to Japan for the first time.
Mm-hmm. And then this one.
And then this one, I was at home, and my flight was in like 6 days.
Yep. My phone and my children's phone started making noises on the first, and like, boop, 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 the big earthquake noise. And I was like, okay, something's going to come because all our phones are going off. And I didn't feel anything right away. But after a while, it was like there was something really like slow and wavy going through. So yeah, it must, obviously, oh wow, this must have come from somewhere else then. Wasn't epicentered here. So yeah, it was interesting to see, turned on the news right away. I have my phone set up to tell me about a lot of earthquakes, not on the loud noise sound, but on, I have another app that tells me about a lot of earthquakes. And that just kept ringing and ringing and ringing with all the aftershocks. That place got a lot of aftershocks. In the 5- range, we're not talking small ones. They're 5- aftershocks, like lots of them. Even 2 days or 3 days later too. So yeah, very rough up there. Here, the biggest thing was waves. So we didn't, this happened right in the middle of Japanese New Year's holidays thing, which is pretty big. Like, it's kind of like American Thanksgiving in terms of how many travel and how much is closed down. And when that span of 3 days ended, and going through the grocery stores, picking up some things that had run out quickly, there was still a lot empty in the grocery stores. And I was curious as to if it's because of relief efforts, is food being redirected, or is it just because coming back from the holidays? I'm not sure. I know there's a lot of relief stuff going on.
And that was actually a question I was wondering is the school going to be involved in any relief?
Yeah, I don't know directly. I don't know. I know that I texted our HR manager right away and asked if anybody's landing in Haneda tonight after I realized you weren't. I was like, oh my goodness, anybody else? Yeah, and luckily nobody was arriving that day from our school. I think the day you arrived was the day that people were starting to arrive back. So either they arrived back the day before or they were waiting until the day you arrived.
The first, second, and third were also like, from most of the airlines I saw, were like $300 to $400 more to land on those days. So yeah, it makes sense that most people were landing a little bit later. This time, I had you read a book, and in this book, one of the main characters joins a society, a club.
Per se.
He does join a society for those who are lively challenged.
Lively challenged. Life force challenged? Is the boogeyman life force challenged, or he just...
No, I wouldn't say he is, but it's more...
He's visibly challenged.
It's more like non-monster. Like, because a boogeyman isn't undead, per se.
Mm-hmm. He's very much alive behind the door.
Vampire, the zombie, those are definitely not in the quality of being living. A banshee is normally considered an undead. So yeah, I think the boogeyman is the only one in that category. Oh, no, and the wolfman.
Oh, yeah. No, he's the man-wolf.
Yeah, man-wolf, yes.
He was a were-man, not a werewolf.
But the man-wolf and the and the boogeyman.
Because he is a man 1 month, 1 day of the 3 days of the month, and a wolf the rest. That's great. Anyway, we're getting there.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. But yes, so one of the main characters joins this group. And so I thought I would ask Nate, and I would think about it myself. What were some clubs or organizations that we joined or were a part of that stood out in our memories? Would you like to go first on this one?
Sure. I think I'm going to pick first. It's tough because I wouldn't say it's an official club, but the tech group at high school, the guys running the soundboard, things like that, right? It's a club in the fact that, yes, there's a select number of people that would meet and do things, but the times we would meet and do things are at events, right? It's not like we sat down and had a party or things like that. But I belonged to that AV group in high school. I would say that in some years I was in charge of it. That's kind of loose. We all basically had our jobs and we all did our things. Well, I guess you know the leader I am, and I'm not very much like, hey, I need to be in charge and take everything. No, everybody please do their jobs. That's the kind of leader I am. I can't do it all. Please do your jobs. And please take things away from me as much as possible. That's the way I lead, right?
Hey, you lead by giving us direction and giving us focus.
Yes.
And then coming alongside and doing work alongside us.
Yes. So I guess probably I led in that same way here. Although there wasn't as much direction and focus going on in the AV club in high school. That's for sure. But
it's a high school club. How much direction and focus do you think there is?
Well, good point. Probably more organized than some other clubs, but yes, anyway. One of the things that blessed us during that time was that a church began to rent our auditorium between my sophomore and junior years. So the whole auditorium got refurbished with the money from the church. And we got a whole new set of equipment and stuff like that. It was great. All the new equipment they put in was wonderful. We got trained by some really great people who really knew what they were doing, more than I know what I'm doing. I loved the moment where they called us in an evening and they said, great, everybody come in and learn how to use the system, right? So the principal was there, the assistant principal was there, me and 3 other guys from the tech club were there. He's like, all right, I'm going to teach you all how to do this, right? And the principal and the assistant principal take out their notepads and start taking down notes, and I'm just listening, right? And he's like, you're not taking any notes? I'm like, no, I'm going to remember this right away. What are you talking about? Like, do I need to take down notes? And in my head, I was thinking, I probably should have taken notes, actually. I used it frequently enough that there was not going to be a problem. But it was pretty fun. He's like, you're not taking notes? I'm like, I guess I probably should have taken note paper. Oh, well. We used it consistently enough. Even what a lot of it was, don't touch this because that's what the church uses. And I was like, great. Don't have to learn how to use that. So that worked out pretty well. Here are the bounds you can play in those bounds. And they were clear about that. And we had a good time playing in those bounds. We didn't touch anything that we weren't supposed to touch. So that worked out well.
Or at least you didn't.
I didn't. I'm pretty sure that the other guys in my group didn't, and the assistant principal and principal definitely didn't. I think we were pretty respectful. One of the things that made it easy was the church had a whole locked cabinet, and they kept all their stuff in their locked cabinet. So that made things easy. Couldn't touch any of their things. And yeah, we didn't touch their settings. Now, I wish we have the board we have at school now. Man, the board we have at school now is amazing.
The board we have at school now didn't exist when you were doing this.
Oh, no, it didn't exist. I mean, we had one of the top-of-the-line boards back then. I'm sure they had to come in every Sunday and reset all the dials to how they wanted them. But now with the board we have here at school, you just push a button that says load up the church settings and boom, all the dials move to the church settings. That's amazing. Could have done with that, but no, we had a good time. And there wasn't much that we had to come in after school hours to run, which was a blessing too. We would only have to come in every once in a while and do things after school. Most of the stuff was contained during school hours, so it worked out pretty well. Mm-hmm. I loved playing with that system. So yeah, tech club, AV club in high school, I guess.
Sounds good. So the first group club organization that I thought about was, I guess I would loosely term this a board game club.
Okay.
What it was, after I got my master's degree and started teaching, I got my first teaching job teaching in the public schools in the United States. And it was an experience. But while I was there, I had a couple of really good friends who came alongside me, and we had one night a week where we would have an open group of guys who would just come together and meet at a board game cafe and play whatever board game we found that day that seemed interesting. And we did it every single week without fail. And the reason why I bring up this group, this organization, is because they are the people who probably kept me sane during that year. As I said, it was an experience, the school I was at. There was a number of problems that I had, and we'll leave it there. It was a very, very emotionally fraught year for me. And so the fact that I had these guys who were willing to just have a night where we didn't think about work, we didn't think about responsibilities, we just got together and we played board games. So it was, usually there were 4 to 5 of us every single week. And sometimes there was 1 or 2 who couldn't make it, but everyone who could make it would go to the same board game cafe. And actually, if you notice, every once in a while I wear a t-shirt at school that has the name of this board game cafe on it, because my going away present when I left for coming to Japan was that all the other guys got together and bought me that shirt. It was basically the merch of the board game cafe that we would play at every single, it was a Sunday night. So we would get together and we would just play board games on Sunday night. And for me, I will always remember that group of guys because, truthfully, they are part of the reason that I was able to make it through that year without, curling up in a corner and convincing myself that I was the Emperor of France. Just some great guys who are just fantastic people. And I got introduced to some really fun games that I went out and bought a copy of for myself.
Good. All the good games for yourself, too.
Yeah. That was the first club organization group that I wanted to talk about.
One of the clubs I joined in college was Earthkeepers. And I joined because of a girl. Because my girlfriend at the time was in the club. But it was actually a pretty fun club. We did a bunch of fun things. We went to a bunch of places and did some cleanup. I think we adopted a highway. I'm not exactly sure about that one. And early on, one of the things that I got roped into was they were like, oh, a boy showed up, and they roped me into being the vice president. And they were like, oh, we need new opinions. Why don't you run for vice president? I'm like, I just showed up. Okay, I'm vice president. I didn't have to do much as vice president, which was nice. One of the things they wanted out of me was a website, and they knew that I could do that. So they were like, yes, great, you can do this. I'm like, okay, I can do a website, sure. We did a bunch of other things. We did have a hiking and a camping excursion. That was kind of fun. So yeah, I mean, it was a fun club to be in. The cleanup stuff was the stuff we did most of the time. And I think that went pretty smoothly. Although I did very little of the organizing. Everyone else did all the organizing. I just went along and did some fun stuff. So, I don't know. It was a neat club to be a part of. I hope my college still has that club going on. All of the officers were in the grade I was in, so I don't even know if it extended after we left. Of course, I think I was only involved in it junior year, though. I don't know what happened to my senior year. I had other stuff going on senior year, so I couldn't be involved in it.
So you broke up with the girl before your senior year.
Well, I did. But I broke up with the girl I broke up with the girl while I was part of the club. But that didn't stop me from being vice president. I was still vice president. We still had to do a bunch of events together because she was also one of the officers. She wasn't president, but she was also one of the officers. We still had to work together, but we were friends.
Good.
But in senior year, I had other things. Also, I think one of the things was I was able to get roped into it after cross-country season. That helped a lot. And then at the beginning of the next school year was cross-country, and then I didn't get involved after that. So I think it was more along those lines that I didn't get involved again.
Gotcha.
But I'm still friends with the people that were there. Yep, Earthkeepers. It was a fun club. We just did clean up most of the time here and there, so that was fun.
So I was trying to decide what my next one would be, because pretty much in high school, the only thing I was involved in was plays and musicals. I was the quintessential drama kid in high school.
What are plays except, temporary clubs, right?
Yeah. But one of the other ones that comes to mind, now the thing is, I don't know if I would define this normally as a club, because it was technically a temp job.
Is it a club if you get paid for it?
I'm going to say yes.
I think I'd still say yes on that.
Because what this was This was a loose gathering of people, and this was during my college days, but this was a loose gathering of people, and we would drive out to a restaurant about an hour away, and we were in charge of providing a murder mystery. So it was me and my friends who would get together, and we would go to this restaurant pretending to be various parts, like all improv, get a free meal out of it, and then get a small stipend at the end of dinner. And, you know, it was just really a lot of fun. I will say that it is also one of those moments that I realized that sometimes, especially when it comes to certain levels of improv, my mouth moves faster than my brain does.
Oh, you need to stop and think about what you're saying, huh?
Yeah. Normally, I was just one of the parts who was supposed to be like suspicious, basically try to throw them off from the real murderer. Mm-hmm. That was usually my part. But one time they were like, Ryan, why don't you play the detective this time? Mm-hmm. And which was fun. And it was a lot of fun. But to this day, I remember that as I was trying to leave the room, having caught the murderer and was escorting them out, like I said some stupid line to try to like draw everything to a close, but it sounded way too cliche that it was just like everybody started laughing. And I was just like, yep, this is why I'm not the detective normally. Because it was supposed to be like the conclusion scene, like everything is like wrapped up and that's how it is. And I said something really dumb and I was like, yep, this is why I am not normally the detective, because my mouth was moving faster than my brain was. And so from that point on, actually, I think that was the only time they had me be the detective for that reason. But from that point on, they pretty much just had me as either the one getting killed or the murderer, but they never had me be the detective again.
Too bad.
It's fine. But it definitely is one of those things that it was just a lot of fun because it was so much improv. You got to try out a bunch of different styles of parts, different voices, different ways of acting. And the real hard part was, for me, if you've been doing a voice or a style for like 2 hours, getting out of that voice. Mm-hmm. Because for me, once I get into a voice enough, it will be my habit to be talking in that voice. And so I remember that, what was it? There was one night where I came home from the murder mystery and I was talking in a weird accent for the rest of the week because I could not get out of that voice. That was the fun little club that I was part of. Yes, I did get food out of it. Yes, I did get a small paycheck out of it, but it was a really small paycheck. But it was a lot of fun because we basically just got to hang out with our friends and pretend that we killed one another.
Good.
As you do. This week, I want to talk about a game called Dredge. Dredge, like dredging with a ship. And, you know, appropriate for that name, it is a game all about fishing. You are a fisherman, and your whole goal in this game is to be the best fisherman and to fish up all the fish. That's it. No other creepy undertones at all. Okay, so I'm completely lying. The whole premise of the game is creepy undertones.
Okay. Art style seems fun.
It's a fun art style. So the basic idea is you pull into port, you get your boat, and you're just fishing. As you are fishing, somehow you start fishing up things that aren't quite right. They're a little misshapen or spooky fish, shall I say. And when you go and fish up your first spooky fish, the guy who you sell your fish to goes, oh, look what I found in here. And he finds, I think it's a handkerchief is the first thing he finds. And then somebody comes up to you and says, oh, I would like that handkerchief. Can you deliver it to my house on this lonely island? And so you go to this island, you talk to him, and he sends you on a mission to get 5 other artifacts from different island sets. But as you are doing this, things aren't quite right. Like, there are giant sea monsters that are trying to attack you. And all the while, you're just trying to be a good fisherman. One of the things about the fish is I think most of the fish in the game are actually real fish, except for the creepy versions of them. And so you're just going around fishing up. And now I'm going to spoil the ending of the game for you.
Okay.
So for those of you who don't want the ending of this creepy game spoiled for you, skip ahead now. All right, so what is revealed near the end of the game is that the guy who you've been collecting things for doesn't actually exist. Huh. He is a reflection of your own mind, and what you've been trying to do is collect these artifacts so that you can resurrect your dead wife.
Huh.
You know, because resurrecting the dead always ends great.
Right. Always.
Always. Each time you found an artifact, the creepy guy, who was also a reflection of you, would say, oh, here's a new thing that will help you fish better and get the stuff better. Just helping you do all this stuff a little bit faster, more efficiently. And then at the very end, you have two choices. You can go through with the ritual to resurrect your wife, or you can not go through the ritual. To not go through the ritual, you have to go and talk to the keeper of the lighthouse, who is like, oh, you've regained your sanity for one moment. You've gained lucidity. We've got to end this now because you're going to go insane again. And so you get rid of the stuff that would have allowed you to resurrect your wife. And when you do so, a giant fish eats you. That's if you chose the route of don't resurrect your wife. Mm-hmm. Now, let's go the route you chose to resurrect your wife. Well, what happens is you go through the ritual and she rises out of the sea alive. And so does a giant monster who is now clearly going to take over the world. Mm. Because you have basically opened the door for essentially what is like Cthulhu to get into the world.
Okay.
So, yeah, it starts as a simple fishing sim where you're just sailing around the area trying to get all the different fish and collect a little encyclopedia of like, oh, I've caught that fish now and I'm going to add it to my encyclopedia. And you keep on doing that until all of a sudden it turns into choosing whether or not to allow an eldritch being to take over the world and destroy everything and everyone you know so that you can revive your wife. It's a cool art style. The fishing in it is actually very fun because how you fish is a bunch of different mini games.
Oh, okay.
And it's just little things like that. And it's just a very satisfying game to play, but it is overwhelmingly just creepy vibes. And it's your simple eldritch horror fishing simulator. You know, a dime a dozen of those games, right?
Yeah. All the ones that I've been playing. Mm-hmm. No, but it does sound fun.
It is. And part of the reason why it's really interesting is all of the storytelling is very like subdued. Mm-hmm. So every once in a while you get glimpses of what's actually going on in the way that people are talking to you. Mm-hmm. Like there's this one guy who you find on an abandoned island who's just, he keeps repeating that you need to throw the book away. And you're like, what book? I don't have a book. Mm-hmm. And the book he's talking about is the one that the creepy version of yourself has, because that book is the thing that's enabling you to open the door for Cthulhu. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it's a fun game. Like I said, it's a satisfying game that has a very subdued storyline and definitely a lot of like creepy Lovecraftian vibes. But yeah, a lot of fun.
All right, Ryan, let's try Fanta Premium. We've had a few of these. Actually, I wanted to look that up. How many of these have we had? Premium grape, peach, orange.
Ooh, I just noticed something about this one. There is pulp in it.
Oh, well, a little bit. I guess mine has been shaking a little bit because I don't have too much sediment, but a little bit.
It's not sediment, it's pulp. Little pieces of lemon floating in the liquid.
I don't think the other ones had that, did they? I don't think the orange one did.
Not that I remember.
Yeah. It is like the other premiums. It doesn't have as much liquid. It's what, 430 again? 380. Phew, 380. Yikes.
380, and you paid 380 for it?
Probably. Did I pay this? I think you bought this one, actually.
I think I probably did. I don't remember.
But yeah, I'm sure it was the same or more because Premiere. I mean, it looks good. I think this is going to be yet again a CC Lemon wannabe.
Yeah. I'm going to say what made me laugh was I suddenly looked at the date on the top of the cap and went, yeah, this has been sitting around for a while.
Yeah, we have not gotten to this for a little bit, have we? Nope.
No. Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, well. It's okay. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
We're not going to poison ourselves.
We'll be sick next week, but it'll be okay.
I'll call in sick. My boss will be fine with it.
Yep, let's see.
Ooh, that is potent smelling.
Okay, here's my question. I think it is going to be more true to lemon flavor than CC Lemon, right?
Oh, definitely. Especially, I see how much pulp is in there. I think it's going to be super lemony.
Well, let's give it a go. It's definitely more sour than CC Lemon.
Yeah.
It's actually not as sour as I expected.
I mean, it's definitely sour.
But there's something else.
Yeah.
I hope it's not age. I don't think so.
You mean fermenting?
Yeah.
Well, we've got trees, we've got voids. We'll bless them all until we... Never mind.
I don't think it's fermenting.
No, I don't think so either.
I think it's the flavor.
It's an interesting flavor. It is definitely sour. I like it.
I think so too.
It doesn't necessarily taste like CC Lemon. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's trying to be.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I had expected overly sour, but I think this is the right amount of sour.
Yeah.
This is sour, and it makes you feel, your lips pucker and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But it is not overwhelming so much that it takes over the whole flavor.
If anything, it's mostly in the aftertaste.
I think there's something else in the flavor that really bothers me, though. I don't know what it is.
I'm not sure what you're tasting, because it tastes good to me.
The pulp doesn't bother me at all, though. The pulp is great.
Yeah.
I think it's good. I don't think I'm going to go too much higher than 6, though.
I was going to go to 7.
Yeah, I think for me, it's passing, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think it's my favorite.
It's better than Calpis Lemonade.
Oh, Calpis Lemonade. Yeah. Oh, that was 7. Yeah, I'm not sure it's better than Calpis Lemonade for me.
Yeah, it's better than Calpis Lemonade for me. Because it doesn't have Calpis in it.
No, Calpis added, Ryan. Calpis added.
You're lying to yourself if you believe that.
I don't remember what it tasted like, but I'm sure it added.
I think it's good. It is definitely sour, but I kind of like that. Yeah, I think a 7. All right, and for our KitKats today is a matcha and chocolate.
Which we've never done matcha. I'm not a big fan of it, flavor in general, though.
I could have sworn we did it.
Did we do it?
Yeah, we did.
Green tea?
Matcha right here, episode 42.
Oh, way back there. Okay, never mind. I'm wrong. We didn't give it a rating, though, huh?
No, we did not.
Because we weren't giving ratings for KitKats back then.
No, we weren't. I think we started giving a few with like maple and banana caramel, but we didn't consistently give them until after that. It is definitely matcha colored and not like a fluorescent green.
It is the subdued green color, which is what I would expect. All right, well, let's see if the combination of original and green tea improves upon KitKat. It's definitely mixes together.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say it right now. It's okay.
Yeah. I actually think they both detract from each other. Because matcha is trying to go into the bitter direction, and chocolate's trying to bring it back into the sweet direction. I think if it was just matcha, it would taste better. Or if it was just chocolate, it would taste better.
Not necessarily. I mean, I remember the matcha flavor being a very potent matcha flavor.
Very bitter. So you're saying, okay, if it was just matcha, this improves upon it.
Yeah. Because it balances out the matcha.
I think you might actually be right. Now you're swinging me around on it now.
Now, the thing is, again, you remember what I said. It's okay.
Yeah. If it was just chocolate, the matcha is distracting from it.
Yeah. My feeling, this is a 5.
I think I'm going to go with 4.
I'm thinking this is a 5. It's nothing to write home about. The chocolate balances out the matcha a little bit, but outside of that, it's just okay.
I think if it was just chocolate, it would be 5, but the matcha tracks a little bit.
It's not a high 5.
No more negatives. It's a high 5. Would you say 5.1, Ryan?
You don't let me have my decimals.
I mean, are you saying 4.9, Ryan? I'm giving you a hard time.
Don't make me think about this, because I will add decimals.
No. Only integers. It's a 10-point scale.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to use the high end more often, I think. Anyway.
Really?
We don't have anything that's a 9 or a 10.
We've had a 9.
Oh, we've had a 9. Yes, peach. That was a good one. And mint.
Yeah, peach, mint. We've had a couple of 8s.
Yeah, a couple of 8s.
I think it's because in our minds, 10 means it's perfect, no improvement. Like, you cannot physically improve this, and I don't know if anything can reach that.
It's pretty hard to get to. Ryan, you had me read a book.
I had you read not just any book. I had you read a Terry Pratchett book.
Right, the next death book.
Yes, which, part of the thing that I am looking forward to with continuing with the Death series is book 3, the one after this, gets to introduce you to Susan.
Oh, yeah, Death's daughter, you said, right?
Granddaughter.
Granddaughter, right, okay.
But I really like the Death series. The Death series, the Witches series, and the Night Watch series are my favorite of the Pratchett books. And so I'm just enjoying having you read all these.
Mm-hmm.
But before we get into Reaper Man, the book opens with Death being given his retirement. He is now retired from being Death and has an expiration date. And so he goes to live for what time he has left. Unfortunately, because Death is now retired and a new Death hasn't been put in place, the rest of the Discworld has to deal with things not ending as they should. That pretty much sums it up.
Mm-hmm.
So, first of all, I have to ask this every single time, I realize, because this is how I always start. Initial thoughts, feelings about this book.
I think it was good. I don't think it'll be my favorite Terry Pratchett.
Okay.
I think I was a little lost again on who I'm following. I feel like this is the problem I have a lot with Terry Pratchett. Who am I following? And I think I got to get over this because, no, I don't have to care about any of these characters. Which character am I supposed to be caring about? Am I supposed to be caring about Windlepoons?
You're supposed to care about them all.
All right, I think that's probably true too. Well, am I supposed to be caring about those wizards of the Unseen University that are just trying to kill Windlepoons?
Well, yes, you should care about them too.
I think that's my problem. And I need to learn to let the book wash over, which I did start doing through the middle of this book. I was like, okay, fine. I'm just going to let the book wash over because it's funny and I'm enjoying all the fun stuff. Just let the fun stuff wash over. Why is the life force of the city making snow globes? Who cares? Who cares?
You are asking a why for a world that is traditionally a disc riding on the backs of 4 elephants on the back of a giant turtle that is swimming towards the end of the universe.
Right. So, I mean, why does the rat Death live? Anyway. Fun stuff. Again, I loved all the humor. The humor was great. When did I die? Oh, you died earlier tonight when you saw me for the first time again. So the humor is most excellent. I think I even sent you a quote that was pretty funny over text.
Yes, you did.
That was pretty great. Yeah, there was just many funny lines, funny parts, discovering of escalators. Wonderful things, which makes the whole Discworld fun. But yeah, I need to stop caring about plot, I think. I need to let my wait a minute, where's plot?
I will say that this one, Reaper Man,
mm-hmm.
It was book 11. That being said, this one, I will admit, does have that problem where it does divide you among a lot of different perspectives.
I think in that, I enjoyed the Death's plotline. That was great. Death trying to deal with his mortality, prepare for death coming for him. I enjoyed that a lot. I think I liked Wendell Poon's storyline, going to the club, meeting his friends, now hanging out with the boogeyman. Not out of choice, really, but but I think I was a bit more distracted by the other wizards of the Unseen Academy trying to kill Windlepoons.
Yeah.
I think they were the ones that distracted me the most from like, wait a minute, what am I actually paying attention to?
Yeah, I will say that the later books, Soul Music and Hogfather, are some of the best ones in this series.
Mm-mm.
Soul Music has, I want to say, 2 to 3 main protagonists in that one. Hogfather, I want to say, focuses on 2, maybe 3 again. But we'll get to those. Actually, the thing is, if the variety of voices is what's throwing you off of anything,
I can deal with multiple storylines. I don't think that's the problem. I think I'm trying to attach to a character early on. And Death is easy to attach to. We've read about him in previous books. It's being thrown into characters that I don't know, and then later I'm realizing that I'm not really supposed to be caring about these wizards from Unseen University. I think that's what it is. These guys, I don't really have to care about them. They're just being stupid. And they're there for the jokes, and the jokes are funny. The
wizards are often the butt of many jokes.
Right. Windlepoons, I liked him a lot. Oh, follow him. He's got a problem. He's trying to deal with it. He doesn't know what's going on. He was expecting something that didn't happen, expecting to die. That didn't work. I liked him. I think that's where it is. I'm being taken away from the storylines I want to hear. So the book looks better to me in retrospect than it does when I was reading it. When I was reading it, I was frustrated that I was taken away from Death and Windlepoons often. Whereas in retrospect, I look back and the Death and the Windlepoon stuff is all I remember, so that's the fun stuff. And the jokes.
The Death books tend to be a little bit more ambiguous because while Death is a central figure, he's not always the main character.
I think maybe it's my boomerang to get over the fact that I expected Death to be the main character in the Death series, right?
He is a main character.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The difficulty is, in all of his books, there is usually one other character who is present as much, if not more, than he is.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, in the first one, it was Mort. He was present more than Death was. In this one, you had Windlepoons. Next, you have Susan.
I think let's keep going. I'm enjoying them.
Good. For me, I love the character of Death. Which, can I just say, it's always great to have to say that phrase out loud.
I love the character of Death.
I love the character of Death.
I've always wanted to get to know Death more, Ryan. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I do love the character of Death because so much of the things that I remember from these books are him and his character. The thing that I always remember from this one is his absolute abhorrence of drama.
Yes. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like the fact that this new Death is wearing a crown and is standing silhouetted by thunderstorms. And he's like, how dare you? You have a job. Get to your job.
Yeah, that was good.
Why are we safe? Because if he is going to stand silhouetted by thunderstorms and wear a crown, then you know he's going to attack at midnight. He's not going to attack at 11:43.
That's right. That was funny. No. I enjoyed that.
It's things like that I'm just like, I love the character of Death. And yet he is also has such deep character, even though you can tell he also doesn't quite understand humanity.
No, I mean, his times in the pub were great throughout this book.
Yet, at the end of the book, he shows care and compassion by bringing the woman to her dead fiance's resting place.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It is a great, great, great character. Yeah, Windlepoons spending the entire first half of the story being like, yeah, I was trying to die. Like, thanks guys for trying to bury me properly. And
I'm wondering, like, okay, if this club, like if he's putting these cards into every casket, like really, how many people are coming out of this? Like, okay, maybe Windlepoons, but wouldn't he be the only one? How many people are coming out of caskets saying, oh yeah, I picked up the card from when I was in the casket? Not many, I would think.
Also, can I just say how every single priest fears this one little old lady?
Oh, yeah. That's good stuff. Yep. Fun.
I love Terry Pratchett, and I love the way that he writes. Yes, sometimes it does take getting your mind wrapped around because he doesn't do chapter breaks. Even if you're not listening to the book and you're actually like physically reading it, he doesn't do chapter breaks.
Is it just one long thing?
If anything, there might be a line break. But it's all one long thing.
Cool.
He doesn't do chapter breaks. He doesn't do page breaks. I think at most he might do like a line break. And yet will transition to different characters left and right. There's one point where it was focusing on this one character for quite a while, then jumped to another character for 2 lines, and then jumped right back to the other character. And they're in 2 different locations. And so, yeah, I can understand having that be a bit of a struggle. The way he writes, the way that he paints this world, it is a ride. You don't have to try to comprehend everything because it is satire. It is designed to be making fun of ideas and making fun of different things. Like the fact that he is satirizing shopping malls.
Yeah.
The thing that takes away life from a city is a shopping mall.
Yes. Yep.
What does that tell you about his idea of shopping malls?
I think it paints a pretty clear picture.
And it's actually not too incorrect.
Yeah. Probably not.
But it's that kind of thing. So you have things like that. And you have this idea of like, is death function or is it... There's just so much cool things in this story that I love these stories. They're just fantastic stories that I have read over and over again, which is why I am making you read them now.
So that you can read them again, too.
It gives me an excuse, yes. So now, in Discworld, there's death. There's the death of rats, and also the death of fleas.
Yeah, the death of fleas. He got away there, too, somehow. Somehow he squeaked by. The death of rats we could see, but the death of fleas, somehow he got in there.
Yeah, death of rats comes back.
Good. That was fun.
I am happy that you are appreciating his style, even if it's not like your ultimate favorite books.
Right.
The fact that you are beginning to get a feel for the way he writes, the way that he paints these pictures and satirizes some of the things like shopping malls. It is great. And that was my goal in making you read these things.
I am enjoying them, and I'm looking forward to reading the next few. So it'll be good.
The next one I'm having you read, which I think is actually the next book I have you read, is Weird Sisters. And the thing to note about that one, they actually address a lot in that one. Shakespeare.
Oh, okay. That'll be interesting.
With some other fun things in it.
Sounds good.
Like I said, there's a lot of little fun things in this story, but Death is a great character.
No, I agree.
And we should all get to know Death a little bit more.
Okay, all right. Death, the character in the book. The character in the book, Ryan. The character in the book. I don't need to mandate report anything, right?
No.
All right, next time I got a book for you, Ryan.
All right, what do you got for me?
I think let's finish off the Broken Earth series.
We're going to finish it.
Although I haven't read this myself yet. We're going to finish this. So it's going to be good, right, Ryan?
Sure.
You haven't read it either, so neither of us know. But we're going to read it before the next recording because we all need to know how this finishes. So this better be a good book.
Well, I mean, it did win things.
It won some awards.
Yeah.
So let's read The Stone Sky by M.K. Jemisin for our next reading. It'll finish up our Broken Earth series, and I'm sure it'll be good because the other two were great, so this is going to be good too. This has got to be the first time that we're reading this before either of us have watched or read the media.
I think we might have done this with a Becky Chambers book where before we had read it.
We're saying that's what's next?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think I had already read them all.
Oh, have you?
Except for the Monk and Robot ones, which you had read.
Oh, no. There is one that we did this with.
What's that?
It was a Dan Morin book.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. Yes. Because we couldn't get it until, yeah. Very, very true.
I win.
That was Dan Morin, though. I mean, that was obvious, too.
That was obvious it was going to be good. We hope you found something nice about this hill we were willing to die on, and we appreciate all of our listeners coming along with us on this journey. But if you ever thought to yourself, I really like these guys, and I wish there was some way I could support them, know that you can. Visit myhilltodieon.com/members for more details. But what does it mean to be a member? Well, for the low price of $2 a month or $15 a year, you can help support this podcast. And by doing so, you'll get access to the members-only podcast, Not My Hill, which is where we discuss things that are probably someone else's hill to die on. We have very strong feelings about them, though as the title says, they're definitely not hills that we'd be willing to die on. And in addition to that, you'll also get access to the suggestion form, where you can make suggestions for our Listener Hill episodes, where we will watch, read, or climb up a hill that you're willing to die on, and we'll talk all about it. But know that the conversation doesn't have to end here. The discussion can continue with us through Reddit at the subreddit My Hill to Die On, or by contacting us through email, which is, to no one's surprise, myhilltodieon@gmail.com. And finally, we upload all of our episodes to our YouTube channel, also named, say it with me now, folks, My Hill to Die On. I think I'm as good as I'm gonna get. What?
Well, you can't perfect perfection, Ryan. That's what it is.
Yeah, because I'd be the first to ever admit that I'm quite nearly perfect.